Hey, what's up YouTube fam? Welcome back to another exciting video on our channel. Today, we've got some mind-blowing news that's going to revolutionize the world of aviation. That's right, we're talking about the Rolls-Royce F-130 dual-pod engine. Now, you might be wondering, what's so special about this engine? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into all the incredible features and advancements that this bad boy brings to the table. Rolls-Royce has shown the first pictures of the F-130 turbofan engines with their two pods. These engines will finally replace the old TF-33 engines that are currently used to power the U.S. Air Force's B-52H Stratofortress fleet. Tests are being done now. As part of an update on a project that has been going on for years to re-engineer and modernize the service's bombers, Rolls-Royce has shared this image. In fact, people have been fighting for decades over whether or not the B-52 should get new engines. The long-awaited order to replace the B-52's engines in 2021 has been given to Rolls-Royce. The transaction could be worth more than $2.6 billion if all of its options are used. It is believed to be worth $500.8 million. Rolls-Royce was given the deal. The exact number of new engines that will be shipped under the agreement, however, has been set at 608. According to the deal, the business thinks that over 600 new engines will be sent. 8 Pratt & Whitney TF-33 engines now power each of the Air Force's 76 B-52H bombers. If the Air Force bought 608 F-130s, each of these engines would be replaced by the same number of F-130s. It's important to remember, though, that buying more spares might also mean that the total number goes up. Even though Pratt & Whitney TF-33 engines have been powering the B-52H fleet since the 1960s, when the oldest airframes were first put into service, the engines are a big reason why keeping the B-52 fleet is getting more expensive and difficult. Since the TF-33 was no longer made after 1985, it is expected that it will no longer be possible to fix it by 2030. Rolls-Royce, on the other hand, is sure that the new F-130 engines that will be put into the B-52 will extend its useful life by 30 years and allow it to keep flying during that time. Compared to the TF-33, the F-130s will help the B-52 use less fuel, have a longer range, perform better in the field, be more reliable, and need less help from tanker planes. Even though it's not clear yet how replacing these engines would affect the bomber's speed, in the past, in March 2022, an article from Air and Space Forces magazine was cited that says the new engines are not expected to hurt the bomber's overall performance. With the new engines, the B-52's signature dark and sooty smoke will no longer be a problem. In the next few years, a number of different programs will be used to improve the B-52 fleet. One of these programs is the installation of new nacelles and engines. It is expected that the bombers will look very different after the complete modernization program is finished. One of the suggested improvements, the new AN/APG-79 Active Electronically Scanned Array, or AESA radar, seems to be going into service around the same time as CERP. This radar is one of the planned upgrades, and it could help the bombers see what's going on around it and hit its targets better. The new radar will be tested in the air for the first time in 2025, and it will be ready for use for the first time in 2027. At the same time, the Air Force has estimated that the first 2 B-52Hs that have been updated with new engines will be shipped in 2025 for the Air Force's own flight testing program. The next step will be to send the first 8 re-engineered bombers to Edwards Air Force Base in California. There, they will join a B-52 test unit that will evaluate the improvements. By 2035, the Air Force wants all of its B-52s to have new engines and be back in service. According to a news release from Rolls-Royce, the F-130 engines for the Air Force's B-52 Commercial Engine Replacement Program, or CERP, are being tested at the company's outdoor test facility at NASA's Stennis Space Center in Mississippi. The building is in the state of Mississippi. During this round of testing, the main focus will be on figuring out how the engine's crosswind aerodynamics run and making sure that the digital control system can work as planned. Also, this is the first time that the F-130 engines have been tested in a setup with 2 pods. Right now, the tests are being given. This is one of the most important parts of the plan to update the B-52 bombers. The plan calls for replacing the bomber's 8 current engines, which are also set up in twin pods with the same number of F-130 engines. To put it another way, there will be a total of 8 F-130s inside 4 engine pods. Each engine pod will have 2 nacelles. Boeing is in charge of both the engine integration process and the overall modernization effort for the B-52, because it's the main company that makes the plane. Rolls-Royce says that the early test results have been very positive, and that over the next few months, more test data that will be collected as the program moves forward will be looked at. This will be looked at over the course of the next few months. The engines will finally be made at Rolls-Royce's biggest factory in the US, which is near Indianapolis and is its largest plant there. Candace Bynyard, Director of Military Projects at Rolls-Royce, said, "We are excited to start this milestone testing program, which is the first step towards decades of successful engine operation for the U.S. Air Force B-52 fleet." Rolls-Royce is continuing to work closely with the U.S. Air Force and Boeing to make sure that the engine testing and integration process goes off without a hitch. This is the first step in what will be decades of successful engine operation for the B-52 fleet, says Rolls-Royce. Because of this, the B-52 fleet will use less fuel, need less refueling in the air, and need a lot less money to spend on fleet upkeep. Rolls-Royce has started testing the F-130 engine. In September of last year, Boeing used a 4% scale model of a re-engineered B-52 to test it in a wind tunnel. The tests went well. In the video that goes with it, which you can watch below, the company says that their goal was to collect data for future test flights and make sure that the bomber's new engine arrangement will work as planned with the B-52's relatively old airframe. To fit the F-130 turbofans with a higher bypass, the CERP program requires the use of engine nacelles that are both newer and bigger than the ones Spirit Aerosystems used to make. Because their diameter had grown, the nacelles had to be moved closer to the wing than they had been in earlier versions. The 8-engine design and the TF-130, which is based on the BR-700 family of off-the-shelf turbofan engines that power aircraft like the U.S. Air Force's Gulfstream C-37 and Global Express E-11 business jets, were chosen to reduce the number of times the B-52s need to be fixed. Because of this, it will be easier to speed up test flights. There is also the cost to think about. According to an article released in May of 2018 by Air and Space Forces magazine, the cost of the B-52 re-engineering program has gone up by about 50% since the Air Force Program Office gave a government CERP cost estimate in 2017. Integration troubles were to blame for this rise. Air Force acquisition official Andrew P. Hunter, who was quoted in the article, said that most of the rise was due to the difficulties of re-engineering an aircraft from the 1960s so that it can work with the current F-130 engines. Hunter was said to have said that this was the main reason for the rise. That was all from this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more interesting aviation news. We'll see you soon again.